The Alpha King's fingers trail down her spine during the mate ceremony, and he whispers 3 words she's not supposed to hear. I know, little liar. Elara's breath catches, but she doesn't flinch. Can't flinch. 3 years of practice keeps her face smooth as glass, her eyes fixed on the couple being bonded at the altar. She doesn't turn toward Kieran's voice, doesn't acknowledge the way his breath warms her neck, doesn't let her wolf rise to the surface and howl at finally being this close to their mate. She keeps her hands folded in her lap like every other Omega in the ceremonial hall. Deaf. Obedient. Invisible. Kieran's hand lifts from her back, and he moves on down the row, touching each pack member in the traditional blessing. When he's gone, Elara allows herself one small exhale. He's bluffing. He has to be. It started 3 years ago at the border intake. Elara had been running for 2 weeks, surviving on rabbits and stream water, trying to get as far from the Blackwater pack as possible. Her sister's scream still echoed in her head, the way Alpha Marcus had smiled while he broke Nessa's neck for refusing to be his second. The way the pack had watched and done nothing. The royal pack territory was her last hope. Big enough to disappear in. Powerful enough that even Marcus wouldn't follow. She'd been filthy and half-starved when the border patrol brought her in for processing. The intake officer had droned through the standard questions while Elara focused on staying upright. Then the door opened, and he walked in. Alpha King Kieran. The mate bond hit like lightning, every cell in her body suddenly awake and reaching for him. His scent crashed over her, pine and smoke and something wild that made her wolf whimper with want. She watched his nostrils flare, knew he felt it too. Come here, he said, his voice rough with surprise. Every instinct screamed at her to obey. The Alpha command wrapped around her like chains, pulling her forward. But Elara had learned young that obeying Alphas got you killed. Got your sister killed. So she didn't move. She stared at him with empty eyes and didn't move. Kieran frowned. Come here, he repeated, power flooding the command. The intake officer shifted uncomfortably. Your Majesty, this one's deaf. It's in her medical notes. She can't hear commands. Elara had thanked the moon goddess for that lost hiker she'd found 2 days earlier, the one with the medical bag and laminated cards explaining her deafness. She'd taken everything, buried the cards with her old identity, and became someone new. Someone her mate couldn't claim. Kieran had stared at her for a long moment, something unreadable in his dark eyes. Then he'd nodded once and left. She'd been assigned to the palace seamstress workshop the next day. An act of kindness, she'd thought, for a disabled Omega. Close to the Alpha King's residence, but safely beneath his notice. She'd been so stupidly wrong. Elara. Mara, the head seamstress, waves at her from across the workshop. Elara looks up from the formal jacket she's embroidering, gold thread on midnight blue, the royal colors, and watches Mara's hands. Alpha King wants his formal wear checked. Fitting in his study. Now. Elara's stomach drops, but she nods and sets aside her work. She's done dozens of fittings for Kieran over the years. It's fine. It's always fine. Except he just whispered in her ear during a ceremony, and nothing feels fine anymore. She gathers her supplies and heads through the palace corridors, keeping her eyes down like a proper Omega. Servants bustle past, their conversations washing over her, gossip about the upcoming mate selection, speculation about which Alpha's daughter Kieran will choose, excitement about the festivities. Elara signs a greeting to the guards outside Kieran's study. They open the doors without question. He's standing by the window, still in his ceremonial clothes, looking out over the pack lands. He doesn't turn when she enters, but she sees his shoulders tense. She closes the door and waits, mending kit in hand. They're saying I should choose Katerina, Kieran says to the window. The Black River Alpha's daughter. Strong bloodline. Good political alliance. Elara doesn't react. She crosses to his desk and sets down her supplies, arranging them with careful precision. Or maybe Sienna from the mountain pack. Her father controls the northern territories. He turns now, watching her. What do you think? Should I choose strength or strategy? She meets his eyes briefly, just long enough to be polite, then gestures to his jacket. May I? Of course. He moves closer, shrugging out of the ceremonial coat. The thing is, I already have a mate. Found her 3 years ago at border intake. She looked at me with those silver eyes and felt nothing. Ilara's hands stay steady as she checks the jacket seams. A button is loose. She pulls out her needle and thread. Except she did feel it, Kieran continues softly. I could smell her arousal, her wolf's recognition. And then she shut it down and pretended I didn't exist. The needle slips. Ilara pulls her hand back, a bead of blood forming on her finger. Kieran catches her wrist before she can move away. His thumb presses against her racing pulse, and his eyes burn into hers. I've spent 3 years watching you, Ilara. Watching you jump when doors slam, watching you hum while you sew, watching your eyes track conversations across the room. His grip tightens. You're very good. The best liar I've ever seen. But you can't control your heartbeat, and it spikes every time someone says my name. Ilara stares at him, her mind racing. Deny it. She has to deny it. She pulls her hand free and signs rapidly, I don't understand. Please write it down. No. Kieran moves closer, backing her against his desk. No more pretending. I know you can hear me. I've known for months. She shakes her head, signing again. You're confused. Stop. The alpha command rolls through the word, and her hands freeze mid-sign. He leans in, his breath ghosting across her lips. You want to know how I'm sure? Because yesterday, I had someone whisper behind you that there was a fire in the seamstress workshop. You didn't react. You just kept sewing. Ilara's blood runs cold. But today, Kieran continues, I said your name from across the ceremonial hall, too quiet for anyone else to hear. And you looked up. His hand cups her jaw, forcing her to meet his eyes. So I'll ask one more time, and you'll answer me honestly, why are you hiding from our bond? She can feel her carefully constructed walls crumbling. 3 years of safety disintegrating in his touch. She should run. Should fight. Should. Because alphas break what they claim, she whispers, and her voice cracks from disuse. And I won't be broken again. For a moment, Kieran goes completely still. Then something dangerous flashes in his eyes. Who broke you? It doesn't matter. He's. Who? The command nearly drives her to her knees. Alpha Marcus of Blackwater. The words tear out of her. He killed my sister when she refused him. I watched. The whole pack watched. And no one stopped him because alphas can do whatever they want. Kieran's face goes hard as stone. Marcus. The one who was executed 2 years ago for treason against the crown. Ilara blinks. What? I executed him myself. Kieran's thumb strokes along her jaw, gentle despite the fury radiating from him. He was smuggling wolfsbane to rogues, planning an attack on the capital. I took his head personally. She'd been so careful not to follow news from her old pack. Didn't want to know, didn't want to remember. Why didn't you tell me? Because you wouldn't listen. His other hand tangles in her hair. You looked through me for 3 years like I was nothing. Do you have any idea what that does to a wolf? To feel the mate bond and have it rejected every single day? Guilt twists in her chest. I'm sorry. I just... No. Kieran cuts her off. I understand why you did it. I'm not angry about that. He pulls back slightly, his expression shifting to something she can't read. I'm angry that you're making me do this. Ilara's stomach clenches. Do what? Choose another mate. He releases her and steps back. The pack needs a Luna. I've put it off as long as I can, but the elders are pushing for an alliance marriage. I have to choose someone at the selection ceremony next month. But, she stops herself. She has no right to protest. She's the one who rejected him. Yeah. Kieran's smile is bitter. So you can go back to pretending to be deaf, little liar. It'll make watching me bond with someone else much easier. He moves toward the door, and panic floods through her. Wait. He stops, his hand on the doorknob. Doesn't turn around. I can hear you, Elara says quietly. Every word you've ever said near me. Including all those conversations about the traitor in your pack. Now he turns, his eyes sharp. What? The beta's second. Marcus. The one you trust with border security. Her voice strengthens. He's been meeting with someone from Silver Fang Pack. I've seen them twice in the East Gardens after midnight. They're planning something. Kieran crosses back to her in 3 strides. How long have you known? 2 weeks. I was going to leave an anonymous note, but nothing. He grips her shoulders. You should have told me immediately. If Marcus is compromised, the entire pack is at risk. You thought I was deaf. How was I supposed to tell you without exposing myself? They glare at each other, and suddenly Kieran laughs, a rough, surprised sound. We're quite a pair, aren't we? The Alpha King and his deaf mate who isn't deaf, both lying to each other for years. Despite everything, Elara feels her lips twitch. I only lied. You've been testing me. I had to know for sure. His thumb strokes circles on her shoulders. The question is, what do we do now? You choose a political mate. I go back to being invisible. She tries to sound pragmatic, but her voice betrays her. No. Kieran's jaw sets. I have a better idea. But it requires you to trust me. Trust the Alpha King? Elara raises an eyebrow. The most powerful wolf in the territory? Trust your mate, he corrects softly. The man who's been falling in love with a seamstress who won't speak to him. Her breath catches. Kieran. The door bursts open, and one of Kieran's guards stumbles in, blood streaming from a gash on his temple. Your Majesty, he gasps. We're under attack. Silver Fang Pack is at the gates, and Marcus opened them from inside. It's a coup. Kieran's entire demeanor shifts, the lover disappearing behind the Alpha King. How many? At least 50 rogues, plus Marcus's loyalists. The guard wavers on his feet. They're heading for the ceremonial hall. All the high-ranking pack members are still there. He doesn't finish. Kieran is already moving, barking orders at the guards in the corridor. Then he turns back to Elara, his eyes wild with something between fear and determination. Stay here. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. I'm not. Please. The word stops her. She's never heard him say it before. I just found you. I can't lose you in the same day. Then he's gone, and Elara is alone in the study with the injured guard and the sound of howls rising from the palace grounds. She looks at the door. Looks at her hands. 3 years of hiding. 3 years of safety. And her mate is about to walk into a trap. Damn it. Elara runs. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. Elara makes it 3 corridors before the reality of what she's doing hits her. She's a seamstress. An Omega. What exactly does she think she's going to accomplish running toward a coup? But her feet keep moving, following the sounds of snarling and screaming toward the ceremonial hall. Her wolf surges beneath her skin, desperate to protect their mate, and for once Elara doesn't fight it. She rounds a corner and nearly collides with a group of Omegas fleeing in the opposite direction. Run, one of them shouts, Sarah from the kitchens. They're killing everyone. Elara grabs her arm, forcing her to stop. Where's the Alpha King? Sarah's eyes are wild with fear. East Wing. He's trying to get to the elders before. She breaks off as a howl splits the air. We have to go. Elara releases her and keeps running. The East Wing is chaos. Bodies litter the marble floors, some moving, some not. The coppery smell of blood makes her wolf snarl with rage. She can hear fighting ahead, the distinctive sound of Kieran's roar above the rest. She skids around the final corner and freezes. The ceremonial hall doors are blocked by at least a dozen rogues, and Kieran is in the center of them, already shifted, his massive black wolf tearing through enemies with brutal efficiency. But there are too many. Even as she watches, 3 more launch themselves at him from different angles. And behind them all, coordinating the attack with hand signals, stands Marcus the Beta. The traitor's eyes lock on hers, and his expression shifts from concentration to cruel delight. Well, he calls out, his voice cutting through the chaos. Look who can hear after all. Kieran's wolf spins toward her, distracted for just a second, but a second is all it takes. A rogue catches him in the side, claws raking deep. Elara doesn't think. She just moves. She's never been a fighter. Never trained like the warriors, never shifted in anything but the required full moon runs. But her sister's screams are in her head, and her mate is bleeding, and something ancient and furious rises up from the base of her spine. The shift tears through her, bones breaking and reforming, skin splitting to reveal fur. It's agonizing and exhilarating, and when she lands on 4 paws, she's smaller than everyone else on the battlefield, but she doesn't care. She goes straight for Marcus. The Beta sees her coming and shifts, his brown wolf easily twice her size. He's laughing, she can hear it in the huffing sounds he makes, right up until she ducks under his first strike and goes for his throat. Elara's sister taught her one thing before she died: when you're smaller, you have to be meaner. She doesn't fight fair. She doesn't fight honorable. She fights like someone with everything to lose, and when her teeth close around Marcus's windpipe, she tastes victory and blood in equal measure. The Beta thrashes, trying to throw her off, but she holds on with everything she has. Around them, she's dimly aware of the tide turning, Kieran's reinforcements flooding in, the rogues falling back. Marcus's struggles weaken. His wolf form shimmers, shifting back to human as consciousness fades. Elara. Kieran's voice, rough and commanding. Let him go. He's done. She doesn't want to. Wants to finish it, to make sure this traitor can never hurt anyone again. But her mate is giving her an order, and some part of her can't refuse him. She releases Marcus and shifts back, landing naked and shaking on the blood-slicked floor. Kieran is there immediately, wrapping her in his torn jacket, pulling her against his chest. You magnificent, insane woman, he mutters into her hair. You could have been killed. So could you. Her voice is hoarse from the shift. I couldn't just hide. No. His arms tighten around her. You couldn't. My brave little liar. Around them, the palace guards are subduing the remaining rogues, hauling bodies away, calling for healers. But Elara barely notices. She's too focused on the way Kieran is trembling, the way his heart is racing against her cheek. He was afraid. The Alpha King was afraid. For her. Your Majesty. A warrior approaches, carefully not looking at Elara's state of undress. The hall is secure. The traitors are in custody. What are your orders? Kieran doesn't release her. Execute any rogues who won't yield. Throw Marcus in the silver cells, I'll deal with him personally. His voice hardens. And find out who else was involved. I want every conspirator identified by morning. Yes, Your Majesty. When they're alone again, as alone as you can be in a hallway full of the dead and dying, Kieran pulls back enough to look at her face. You shifted, he says quietly. I've read your file a dozen times. It says you can barely shift. That you're weak. I lied about that too. Elara meets his eyes. I lied about a lot of things. I know. His thumb traces her jaw, the same gesture from earlier, but now there's blood under his nails. His blood. Her blood. The traitor's blood. But no more lies. Not between us. Agreed? She should say no. Should run while she still can, before the mate bond pulls her in completely. But she's tired of running, and her wolf is purring under his touch, and she's just killed a man to save him. Agreed, she whispers. Kieran's eyes flash gold. Then he's kissing her, fierce and possessive and tasting of copper, and Elara kisses him back like she's been starving for 3 years. Which she has been. The new moon ball is held 3 weeks later, once the dead are buried and the conspirators executed and the pack's wounds begin to heal. Elara attends because she has no choice. Every pack member is required to celebrate the Alpha King's victory over the coup attempt. Besides, people are starting to ask questions about why the deaf seamstress was found naked in the Alpha King's arms after the battle. The official story is that she got caught in the fighting and Kieran saved her. The unofficial rumors are much more interesting. I heard she's his mistress, someone whispers near the refreshment table. That he's been visiting her workshop for years. Don't be ridiculous, another voice scoffs. She's deaf. What would he want with someone so damaged? Elara keeps her face neutral and pours herself more courage wine. It's what Mara calls the sweet mulled wine that flows freely at pack celebrations. Dangerous stuff. Makes you brave and stupid in equal measure. She's on her 3rd glass when she sees him. Kieran moves through the crowd like a predator, pack members parting before him without conscious thought. He's wearing formal black, his dark hair pulled back, and every unmated female in the room is watching him with hungry eyes. Including Katerina from Black River and Sienna from Mountain Pack. The 2 frontrunners for his chosen mate. Elara drains her glass and reaches for another. Easy there. Mara appears at her elbow, signing while she speaks. That stuff will knock you on your ass. I'm fine, Elara signs back, even though she's starting to feel pleasantly fuzzy. Mara's eyes are knowing. This wouldn't have anything to do with a certain Alpha King, would it? I don't know what you mean. Right. And I'm the queen of ladies. A smooth voice interrupts them. Beta Thomas, Marcus's replacement, offers a polite bow. The Alpha King requests Miss Elara's presence in the garden. Elara's stomach flips. Why? He didn't say. Thomas's smile doesn't reach his eyes. But it wasn't a request. Mara squeezes her arm in warning, but Elara nods and follows the beta through the crowd. The garden is cooler, quieter, lit by floating witch lights that cast everything in soft blue. Kieran is waiting by the fountain, his back to her. You can go, Thomas, he says without turning. The beta hesitates. Your Majesty, given the recent. I said go. Thomas bows and retreats, though Elara catches the flash of irritation on his face. When they're alone, Kieran finally turns to face her. You're drunk. Elara blinks at him, then remembers she's supposed to be deaf. She pulls out the small notebook she now carries and writes, How would you know? Because you're swaying. He moves closer. And your pupils are dilated. And you smell like courage wine. She writes again, Is that why you summoned me? To comment on my drinking? No. His hand catches her chin, tilting her face up. I summoned you because you've been avoiding me for 3 weeks, and I'm done being patient. I haven't been avoiding you. You've rescheduled 4 fittings. You leave rooms when I enter them. You won't meet my eyes. His thumb strokes her lower lip. Why? Because touching him makes her want things she can't have. Because every moment near him makes her wolf howl for completion of the bond. Because she's terrified of what will happen if she lets herself need him. She doesn't write any of that. Instead, the mate selection is in 1 week. You should focus on choosing. I've already chosen. His voice drops to a growl. 3 years ago. She just won't accept it. Elara's heart hammers against her ribs. You need a political alliance. Everyone says so. Everyone can go to hell. Kieran pulls her closer, until she can feel the heat radiating from him. I don't want a political alliance. I want my mate. She should push him away. Should remind him of all the reasons this won't work. Instead, the courage wine makes her bold enough to speak out loud. Your mate is broken, she whispers. Your mate lied to you for years. Your mate killed a man and didn't feel guilty about it. My mate is a survivor. His forehead presses against hers. My mate is clever and strong and saved my life. My mate is perfect exactly as she is. I'm not. A sharp crack splits the air, something falling, breaking. Elara spins toward the sound before she can stop herself, body tensing for threat. When she turns back, Kieran is smiling. A slow, predatory smile that makes her blood run cold. A server dropped a tray in the ballroom, he says softly. You heard it. Through stone walls and closed doors. You heard it and reacted. Elara's mouth goes dry. I felt the vibration. Don't. The command freezes her in place. Don't lie to me. Not anymore. She could keep trying. Could maintain the charade. But she's tired, and drunk, and his eyes are boring into hers with an intensity that strips away every defense. I heard it, she admits. I've heard everything. Every word you've ever said near me. I know. Kieran's smile sharpens. I've known since day one. The garden seems to tilt. What? Your heart races when I enter a room. Your breathing changes when I speak. Your pupils dilate when you read my lips, but I never move my mouth. He circles her slowly, like a wolf stalking prey. You're very good, Elara. The best liar I've ever encountered. But you can't control your body's autonomic responses. Elara feels sick. Then why? Why did I let you continue? He stops in front of her again. Because I needed to know who else knew. Who else was pretending? Who else was listening to conversations they shouldn't hear? Understanding crashes over her. You were using me. As bait. Yes. No apology in his voice. I suspected there was a traitor in my inner circle. Someone feeding information to my enemies. So I started having sensitive conversations near you, about patrol routes, about vault locations, about supposed weaknesses in our defenses. All lies. All designed to draw out whoever was listening. And when the traitor acted on that information, I knew which lie they'd heard. Which meant I knew who had access to that area. The pool of suspects narrowed with each test. His hand catches her wrist, thumb finding her racing pulse. Until finally, Marcus revealed himself. Elara jerks away from him. You let your pack be attacked. People died. 15 rogues attacked, and we were waiting for them. We lost 3 warriors. His voice hardens. If I'd acted sooner, without proof, Marcus would have disappeared and continued his treason from somewhere else. This way, I cut out the rot permanently. And me? Anger burns through the alcohol haze. What was I in all this? Just a convenient tool? You were. He pauses, something almost vulnerable crossing his face. You were the one variable I couldn't control. My mate, who wanted nothing to do with me. Who flinched from my touch and looked through me like I was nothing. Do you have any idea what that does to a wolf? To feel the bond pulling you towards someone who wishes you didn't exist? You could have rejected me. The words taste like ash. Could have found another mate. I tried. The admission is raw. After the first year, I tried to break the bond. Consulted with every elder, every witch who would see me. They all said the same thing, once the bond forms, it's permanent. The only way to sever it is if one of us dies. Elara's breath catches. Kieran. So I decided to make you want me. His laugh is bitter. I thought if I was patient, if I showed you I wasn't a threat, eventually you'd lower your walls. Instead, you built them higher. And I got desperate enough to use you in my investigation, because at least then you were useful to me. At least then your presence in my life had a purpose beyond driving me slowly insane. The honesty in his voice cuts deeper than any blade. Elara has spent 3 years thinking only of her own pain, her own fear. She never considered what she was doing to him. I'm sorry, she whispers. Are you? He moves closer again, backing her against the fountain. Because you still haven't told me why. Why fake being deaf? Why reject the bond so completely? Why? His voice breaks. Why would my own mate rather pretend to be disabled than be with me? This is it. The moment she's been dreading. The moment she has to explain why she's not worthy of an alpha king, why the mate bond is a curse instead of a blessing. My sister, she starts, then stops. Tries again. Nessa was beautiful. Strong. Everything I'm not. When she found her mate, we celebrated. Alpha Marcus of Blackwater seemed perfect, powerful, respected, kind. Kieran goes very still. The first month was wonderful. Nessa was so happy. Elara's voice cracks, but she pushes through. Then Marcus started using the bond. Small things at first, commanding her to sit beside him, to wear certain colors, to laugh at his jokes. She thought it was romantic. Protective. Elara. By month 6, she couldn't leave the pack house without his permission. Couldn't speak to other males. Couldn't even think rebellious thoughts without him sensing it through the bond and punishing her. Tears are streaming down her face now, but she doesn't stop. She tried to run. He dragged her back. She tried to reject the bond. He broke 3 of her ribs and told her she belonged to him, that the moon goddess herself had made her his property. Kieran's hands are shaking where they grip the fountain edge on either side of her, but he doesn't interrupt. The night he killed her, she tried to warn another female about accepting a mate. Marcus found out and accused her of disrespecting the sacred bond. He snapped her neck in front of the whole pack. And everyone just watched. Because he was alpha, and she was just a mate who'd forgotten her place. The garden is silent except for Elara's ragged breathing. I ran that night, she continues. Stole supplies, stole identity papers from a dead human, and ran. And when I felt our bond snap into place at the border intake, when I smelled you and knew you were mine, all I could think was, not again. I won't be controlled again. I won't be broken again. She finally meets his eyes, expecting anger. Disgust. Rejection. Instead, she sees rage so pure it makes her wolf whimper. Marcus of Blackwater, Kieran says, and his voice is barely human. The one I executed for treason. You said. But that doesn't change. I didn't execute him for treason. Kieran's eyes are pure gold now, his wolf barely contained. I executed him for being a monster who abused the mate bond. I just used treason as the official charge because the council wouldn't let me execute an Alpha 4 domestic matters. Elara stares at him. What? Your sister wasn't his only victim. 3 other females came forward after his death, all with similar stories. All too terrified to speak up while he lived. His hands cup her face, gentle despite the fury radiating from him. The mate bond is sacred, Elara. It's meant to create equals, not slaves. What Marcus did, what he twisted it into, that's not mating. That's ownership. And it's an abomination. But you're an alpha. The words spill out before she can stop them. The Alpha King. The most powerful wolf in the territory. How can I trust that you won't? Because I love you, you infuriating woman. The declaration stops her breath. I have loved you since the moment you looked at me with those silver eyes and chose freedom over fate. Since the first time you ignored my command and I realized you were strong enough to resist me. Since every God's damn day you've walked past me without seeing me, because it meant you were surviving. Ilara's vision blurs with fresh tears. Kieran. I don't want your submission, he continues fiercely. I don't want your obedience. I want your partnership. Your trust. Your willingness to call me on my shit when I'm being an idiot. I want, his voice breaks. I want my mate. My equal. Not a slave. Never that. She's crying openly now, 3 years of fear and grief and loneliness pouring out. Kieran pulls her against his chest and holds her while she shatters, his hand stroking her hair, his voice murmuring words of comfort she can barely hear through her sobs. When she finally quiets, he pulls back enough to look at her face. I need you to understand something, he says quietly. The mate selection ceremony next week? It's a farce. I'm announcing our bond. You're going to be my Luna, whether you like it or not. That's not, you can't just. I absolutely can. His smile is sharp. I'm the Alpha King. I can do whatever I want. The question is, will you accept it? Will you give us a chance, or will you keep running? Ilara's mind reels. Everything she thought she knew, everything she feared, it's all crumbling. But underneath the fear is something else. Something that's been growing for 3 years despite her best efforts to kill it. Hope. I'm terrified, she admits. So am I. He presses his forehead to hers. You could destroy me, Ilara. You're the only person in the world with that power. But I'm willing to risk it if you are. She thinks of her sister. Of the way Nessa's eyes had dimmed over those terrible months, her spirit crushed under Marcus's control. Then she thinks of the past 3 years. Of Kieran never forcing her to acknowledge him, never using his power to compel her, never taking what he could have claimed by right. He's been courting her consent from the very beginning. One condition, she says. Anything. If I ever want to leave, if I ever feel trapped, you let me go. No commands. No forcing the bond. You just, let me walk away. Pain flashes across his face, but he nods. I swear it. On my life, on my crown, on everything I am, if you want to leave, I'll let you go. It's a promise that could destroy him. That goes against every instinct an alpha has. But he means it. She can see it in his eyes, feel it through the bond that's been straining between them for 3 years. Okay, she whispers. Okay. I'll try. Kieran's smile is brighter than the witch lights, fierce with victory and relief. That's all I ask. Then he's kissing her again, and this time Ilara doesn't hold back. She kisses him like she's been wanting to for 3 years, like she's finally stopped running, like she's finally home. When they finally break apart, both breathless, she has one more question. What about Thomas? Kieran's expression darkens. What about him? The way he looked at you earlier. The way he hesitated when you dismissed him. She bites her lip. I've been watching him. Listening. There's something off. You think he's compromised. I think Marcus wasn't working alone. Ilara steps back, forcing herself to focus despite the desire still humming through her veins. I think whoever was coordinating with Silver Fang Pak is still here. Still plotting. Kieran studies her for a long moment. Then his smile turns predatory. Well then, he says softly. I suppose we'd better catch them. Together this time. Together, Ilara agrees. And for the first time in 3 years, she doesn't feel like she's running. She feels like she's hunting. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 3. The full moon hunt is a sacred tradition, 100 of the pack's strongest warriors running through the territory in wolf form, led by the Alpha King himself. It's meant to reinforce pack bonds, establish hierarchy, and remind everyone why Kieran rules. Omegas aren't invited. Ilara stands at her workshop window and watches the hunting party gather in the courtyard below. Kieran is magnificent in the torchlight, already shifted, his massive black wolf easily twice the size of any other. He's addressing the pack, she can see his mouth moving even in wolf form, the alpha command carrying to every ear. Except hers, supposedly. You're not thinking of following them. Mara appears beside her, arms crossed. Tell me you're not that stupid. Elara doesn't answer, just continues watching as the hunting party streams toward the eastern woods. Elara. Mara grabs her arm. The hunt is dangerous even for trained warriors. You're a seamstress. You'll get yourself killed. Thomas is going. Elara points to the beta, his rust-colored wolf trailing just behind Kieran's. And something's wrong. What do you mean? I've been watching him for 2 weeks. Listening. Elara's fingers drum against the windowsill. He's been having private meetings with 3 of Marcus's former lieutenants. They speak in code, but I've pieced enough together. They're planning something for tonight. Mara's face pales. You told the Alpha King? He knows I suspect Thomas. But he doesn't know about tonight. Elara turns from the window. Kieran thinks we have time to gather evidence, build a case. But I heard Thomas earlier, he said, tonight, during the chaos of the hunt. That's not gathering evidence time. That's assassination time. So send a message. Use the emergency signal. And say what? The deaf seamstress overheard a conversation? Elara shakes her head. By the time anyone believes me, it'll be too late. I have to go. You can barely fight. I don't need to fight. I just need to warn him. Elara is already moving, stripping off her dress and reaching for the leather pants and shirt she keeps hidden for emergencies. Mara sputters protests, but Elara ignores her. Her wolf is already surging beneath her skin, anxious and eager. Her mate is in danger. Nothing else matters. She shifts the moment she hits the tree line, her smaller russet wolf easily slipping through the shadows. The hunting party is ahead, she can hear their howls, smell their excitement. She keeps to the edges, staying downwind, following. The hunt leads deep into the territory, through ancient forests where the trees grow so thick the moonlight barely penetrates. Elara's wolf navigates by scent and sound, tracking Kieran's distinctive pine and smoke smell. Then everything goes wrong. A deer bursts from the underbrush directly in front of the hunting party, too convenient, too perfectly timed. The pack wolves give chase on instinct, spreading out through the forest. Kieran is fastest, pulling ahead of the others, his competitive nature driving him forward. Right into the trap. Elara sees it a split second before it springs, Thomas and 3 others peeling off from the main pack, circling back toward Kieran's position. They're not chasing the deer. They're herding the Alpha King toward a ravine where the ground drops away into darkness. She runs faster, her smaller wolf eating up the distance, but she's too far back. Too late. Kieran reaches the ravine edge and skids to a stop, realizing the trap. He spins to face Thomas and the others as they emerge from the trees, forming a semicircle that blocks his escape. Even in wolf form, Elara can see Thomas's satisfaction. Kieran could take them. Even outnumbered, he's stronger, faster, more experienced. But as Elara watches in horror, 2 more wolves emerge from hiding, these ones stinking of rogue, of silver poisoning, of death. 6 against 1. And Kieran's closest guards are hundreds of yards away, chasing a phantom deer. Thomas shifts back to human form, a silver-laced blade gleaming in his hand. Nothing personal, Your Majesty, he calls out. But the old ways are returning. Strong alphas who know their place. Not weaklings who make laws protecting omegas and punishing mate abuse. Kieran's growl rattles the trees. He doesn't shift back, doesn't give them the satisfaction. Just crouches, ready to fight. Elara is still too far away. Even running full out, she won't reach them in time. She can see it playing out. Thomas's wolves will harry Kieran from all sides while the beta goes for the killing blow with that silver blade. Her mate will fight brilliantly. And he'll die anyway. Unless. Elara stops running and shifts back to human, her lungs burning as she drags in air. She has one chance. One word. One choice that will expose everything she's been hiding and destroy the careful anonymity she's built. She thinks of her sister. Of freedom. Of 3 years spent invisible and safe. Then she thinks of Kieran bleeding out in a ravine while she stays silent. Kieran. The scream tears from her throat, raw and desperate and utterly unmistakable. Behind you. Silver Blade. Every wolf in the clearing freezes. Turns toward her. Thomas's face goes from shock to rage. The seamstress can hear. Well. This just got more interesting. 2 of his wolves peel off, heading for Elara at a dead run. But the distraction gave Kieran the opening he needed. He lunges for Thomas, massive jaws closing around the beta's sword arm. The blade goes flying. Thomas screams and shifts, and then it's wolf against wolf, but now Kieran has the advantage. Elara doesn't watch. She's too busy running from the 2 wolves hunting her, her bare feet bleeding on the forest floor, her lungs screaming. She's not fast enough. Not strong enough. They're going to catch her, going to kill her, and she's going to die having saved her mate but never telling him. A howl splits the night, the Alpha King's call for reinforcement. Thank the moon goddess, the guards heard. They'll be here soon. But soon isn't now, and the wolves are gaining. Elara risks a glance back and sees teeth, sees murder in their eyes. She's not going to make it. She shifts anyway, her smaller wolf spinning to face them, determined to go down fighting. Then a black blur slams into her pursuers from the side. Kieran. He must have taken down Thomas faster than she thought. He's a whirlwind of teeth and claws, his fury magnificent and terrible. The 2 traitor wolves don't stand a chance. But he's hurt. Elara can smell his blood, can see the way one leg buckles slightly. Thomas got in a good strike before going down. The fight is brutal and quick. Kieran's opponents fall, their throats torn out, their bodies still. He stands over them, chest heaving, and for a moment he's every inch the legendary Alpha King, powerful, merciless, untouchable. Then he collapses. Elara shifts and runs to him, her hands finding the wound immediately. It's bad. A deep gash along his ribs that reeks of silver poisoning. Thomas must have coated the blade, even a scratch is deadly. No, no, no. She presses her hands against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Kieran, stay with me. The guards are coming. The healers will. He shifts back to human, and his hand catches hers. His skin is already growing cold. Elara. His voice is weak. You screamed. Expose yourself. I don't care. Tears are streaming down her face. You're not dying. You're not allowed to die. Stubborn woman. He smiles, then coughs. Blood flecks his lips. Should have stayed away. And let you be murdered by your own beta? Not happening. The guards burst into the clearing, weapons drawn, wolves snarling. Someone throws a cloak around Elara's naked shoulders. Someone else is shouting for a healer. But Elara barely hears them. All her focus is on Kieran, on his labored breathing, on the way his heartbeat is growing fainter beneath her palm. The pack physician arrives within minutes, an ancient female named Elena who's seen more battles than most warriors. She takes one look at Kieran's wound and her face goes grim. Silver poisoning. Deep. It spread to his bloodstream. She meets Elara's eyes. He needs a mate's bond. It's the only thing strong enough to burn out the poison. The clearing goes silent. What do you mean? Elara's voice shakes. The mate bond creates a connection between souls. If you accept his claiming bite and complete the bond, your life force can sustain him while his body purges the silver. Elena's expression is grave. Without it, he'll be dead within the hour. With it, he has a chance. Do it, Kieran rasps. Elena, command her if you have to. Use your authority as pack physician. No. Elena shakes her head. The bond has to be accepted willingly, or it won't work. The female must choose. Every eye turns to Elara. She's dimly aware of the pack members gathering, drawn by the commotion, by the scent of their alpha's blood. She's aware of the whispers, the shock rippling through them as they realize the deaf seamstress can hear perfectly. She's aware of Thomas's body lying 20 feet away, his dead eyes staring at nothing. But mostly she's aware of Kieran's hand in hers, growing colder by the second. This is what she's feared for 3 years. The bond. The claiming. The permanent connection that can be twisted into chains and control. Her sister died because of this bond. And now Kieran will die without it. If I do this, Elara says carefully, if I accept the bond and save him, can it be reversed? Once he's healed? Elena's eyes widen. You want to break a mate bond? After completing it? Can it be done? Theoretically. The physician hesitates. There are old rituals. Forbidden magic. But no one's attempted it in centuries, and the cost. I don't care about the cost. Elara's voice is steel. If I save him, he releases me. That's the deal. Elara. Kieran's eyes flutter open, gold bleeding into the brown. Don't. I won't trap you. You won't have a choice. You'll be alive. She leans down until their faces are inches apart. Do you agree? I save you, and when you're healed, you let me go. No matter what it costs. His face twists with something between anguish and acceptance. Yes. I swear it. Good. Elara bares her neck, tilting her head to expose the claiming spot. Do it. Before I change my mind. Kieran's eyes flare bright gold. His canines extend, and despite his weakness, his hand is steady as it cups the back of her neck. I'm sorry, he whispers. Then he bites. The pain is immediate and shocking, but nothing compared to what follows. The bond slams open between them, 3 years of denial shattering in an instant. Elara gasps as Kieran's soul crashes into hers, as every wall she's built comes tumbling down. She feels his pain. His fear. His desperate love for her, so fierce it steals her breath. And underneath it all, his wolf. Ancient and powerful and utterly devoted to its mate. Mine, it growls into her mind. Ours. Safe. Protected. Cherished. Elara's wolf rises to meet his, and for the first time in 3 years, she doesn't fight it. The two wolves twine around each other, their bonds snapping into place with an almost audible click. Kieran's teeth release her neck, and he slumps back. The wound on his ribs is smoking, the silver burning out of his system as the mate bond floods him with Elara's life force. It's working. But the cost is higher than she expected. Elara can feel herself being pulled into him, her consciousness sinking into his. She tries to fight it, but it's like fighting a riptide. The bond wants them merged, united, one. Elena, she gasps. What's happening? The bond is settling. You'll need to join him in the healing sleep. The physician's hand is on her shoulder, steadying. Don't fight it. Let yourself sink. I'll watch over you both. But I need to, I can't. Trust me. Elena's voice carries the weight of command. Or you'll both die. Elara looks at Kieran's pale face, at the wound that's slowly closing, at the pack members watching with a mixture of awe and horror. She thinks of freedom, of independence, of all the reasons she swore never to complete a mate bond. Then she lets go. The world dissolves into darkness and dreams. The first thing Elara realizes in the healing sleep is that Kieran's mind is nothing like she expected. She's braced for control, for dominance, for the crushing weight of an alpha's will. Instead, she finds space. Vast and open, with clearly defined boundaries. His wolf is there, massive and powerful, but it's not trying to subsume her. It's simply existing alongside her wolf, two separate beings sharing the same territory. This is wrong, she thinks. Marcus's mind was invasive. Controlling. Kieran's voice echoes through the bond. Marcus was broken. Most alphas aren't like that. She spins, or does the mental equivalent of spinning, and finds him standing in a memory. Not his current wounded self, but a younger version. Maybe 50 years ago, judging by the clothing. Where are we? She asks. My mind. Our bond. He gestures around them. We're sharing the healing sleep. It'll take a few days for the silver to completely leave my system. In the meantime, we're stuck here together. I could think of worse prisons. The words slip out before she can stop them. Kieran's smile is sad. You're seeing it now, aren't you? What the bond actually is. Not chains. Not control. Just connection. Marcus. Marcus was a monster who weaponized the mate bond. But that's not what it's meant to be. He holds out his hand. Let me show you. Elara hesitates, then takes it. The memory around them shifts. She's watching Kieran, older now, wearing a crown, standing before a male alpha who's on his knees. You used the mate bond to compel your female to hurt herself, Kieran says, his voice cold as death. You twisted something sacred into a weapon. For this crime, I sentence you to execution. She's just a mate, the alpha protests. She's mine by right. The moon goddess gave her to me. The moon goddess gives us partners, not property. Kieran's hand settles on his sword hilt. Any last words? The memory shifts again. Another alpha, another execution. This one had used the bond to force his mate into sexual acts she didn't want. Kieran's justice was swift and brutal. And again. An alpha who'd commanded his mate to lie to pack authorities about his crimes. Kieran executed him in front of the entire council. 3 alphas, Kieran's voice narrates over the memories. 3 executions. And those are just the ones I could prove. I've been hunting mate abusers for 2 centuries, Elara. It's the one crime I won't tolerate. The memories fade, replaced by new ones. Kieran at a desk, writing legislation by candlelight. The laws are all about protecting weaker pack members, limiting alpha authority, creating checks on power. The council fights me on every reform, he explains. They say I'm weakening pack structure, undermining tradition. But I keep pushing because I've seen what happens when alphas have unchecked power. I've seen the mates who come to me broken, the pups who grow up terrified of their fathers, the wolves who'd rather go rogue than stay in abusive packs. Why? Elara whispers. Why do you care so much? The memory shifts one final time. A young Kieran, barely more than a boy, watching his mother cry while his father rages. The alpha is using the mate bond like a leash, yanking her back every time she tries to leave, compelling her to smile while he takes other females to bed. My father was a tyrant, Kieran says quietly. He claimed the mate bond made him a god. That my mother should be grateful he chose to keep her around. She tried to leave 3 times. He dragged her back 3 times. On the 4th attempt, she succeeded, by throwing herself from the tower. Elara's hand flies to her mouth. I was 16. I challenged my father for the throne that same day. Barely survived the fight. Kieran's hand unconsciously goes to a scar across his ribs. When I won, I swore I'd be different. That no mate in my pack would ever suffer what my mother did. I'm sorry. The words feel inadequate. Don't be. Just understand, I know what you feared. What you're still fearing. And I'm telling you that I would rather die than become that. He turns to face her fully. The mate bond doesn't give me power over you, Elara. It gives us power to support each other. You're not my subject. You're my equal. But you're the Alpha King. I'm an Omega seamstress. You're my mate. That makes you Luna. Queen. The second most powerful wolf in the territory. His smile is wry. Besides, you killed a beta in combat and exposed a conspiracy. You're many things, but weak isn't one of them. The memory world around them begins to fade, reality creeping back in. We're waking up, Kieran says. The bond has stabilized. I'm healed. Then I can leave. Ilara's chest tightens. You promised. I did. His face is carefully neutral. Elena will know the ritual. We can begin preparations immediately. Good. That's good. But as consciousness pulls her back toward her own body, Ilara realizes something terrifying. She doesn't want to leave. In Kieran's mind, she felt his loneliness, 200 years of waiting for a mate, of watching other wolves find happiness while he remained alone. 200 years of hoping the moon goddess would eventually send him someone to share his life with. And when she finally arrived, she rejected him. I'm a terrible person, she thinks as the healing sleep releases its hold. Kieran's voice echoes one last time, you're a survivor. There's no shame in that. Ilara wakes to find herself in Kieran's private chambers, tucked into his massive bed. She's clean, dressed in soft sleeping clothes, and Elena is sitting in a chair beside her. Welcome back, the physician says. You've been asleep for 3 days. Kieran? Also awake. In his study, dealing with the aftermath of Thomas's betrayal. Elena leans forward. You should know, the pack is in an uproar. Everyone knows about your deception now. Half think you're a hero for saving the Alpha King. The other half think you're a traitor for lying. What do you think? I think you're brave and damaged and trying your best in an impossible situation. Elena's smile is kind. I also think you're about to do something incredibly stupid. The bond-breaking ritual. Yes. That. Elena pulls out an ancient book, its pages yellowed with age. I found the ritual. It's not pleasant. I don't care. You should. The bond can only be severed if both parties want it broken. You'll both feel like you're dying. It might damage your wolves permanently. And even if you survive, you'll carry the scars for the rest of your lives, phantom pain where the bond used to be. Ilara's hands twist in the sheets. But it's possible. Technically. Though I should mention, Kieran came to see me yesterday. Asked me to make it clear that he's only agreeing because he promised, not because he wants it. He's willing to endure the ritual if that's truly what you need to feel safe. Of course he is. Ilara's laugh is bitter. Because he's perfect and honorable and nothing like the monster I thought he'd be. So why are you still pushing for this? Because, Ilara stops. Tries to find words for the fear still coiled in her chest. Because what if it changes? What if he's kind now, but in 10 years, in 50 years, he starts using the bond the way Marcus did? What if I wake up one day and realize I'm trapped? What if you don't? Elena counters. What if you spend your whole life running from shadows and miss the happiness standing right in front of you? You sound like you're on his side. I'm on both your sides. I want you both to be happy. Elena stands. The Alpha King asked me to tell you that he's ready to proceed with the ritual whenever you are. He's given orders that you're not to be disturbed until you decide. Take your time. Think it through. And remember, some cages are only in our minds. She leaves, and Ilara is alone with her thoughts. And with the mate bond, humming softly at the edge of her consciousness. She can feel Kieran through it, his presence like a distant heartbeat. He's not trying to push through, not demanding her attention. Just, there. Waiting. The way he's been waiting for 3 years. Ilara closes her eyes and reaches tentatively through the bond. Kieran? His response is immediate, Ilara. Are you well? I'm fine. You? Healed. Thanks to you. A pause. Have you decided? About the ritual? She should say yes. Should demand he follow through on his promise. Should sever this bond and reclaim her freedom. Instead, she says, "Can I ask you something first?" "Anything." "You said there's an ancient pack law about alpha kings and true mates." Through the bond, she feels his surprise. Then resignation. "Yes. If an alpha king finds his true mate and doesn't complete the bond within 3 years, he forfeits his crown. It's meant to prevent kings from refusing the moon goddess's gift out of pride or politics." "And when did you find me?" A longer pause. 3 years and 2 days ago. Elara sits up in bed, her heart racing. The political alliance. The mate selection ceremony. It was all a lie. A desperate attempt to force your hand because I was running out of time. His mental voice is thick with shame. "I thought if you believed I was moving on, you'd realize you wanted the bond. Instead, you just pulled further away. You would have lost your throne. Better that than force you into something you didn't want." I was prepared to step down. Had the abdication papers ready and everything. Elara presses her hand over her heart, over the place where the bond pulses warm and steady. "You would have given up your crown for me. I'd give up everything for you." No hesitation. Just truth, raw and honest. "I love you, Elara. I have since the moment you looked through me like I was nothing, because it meant you were strong enough to resist an alpha's will. Strong enough to survive. Strong enough to be my equal." Tears are streaming down her face now, but for the first time, they're not tears of fear or grief. "I'm sorry," she sends through the bond. "I'm sorry I made you wait. I'm sorry I compared you to Marcus. I'm sorry." "Don't." His presence wraps around her like a warm embrace. "You have nothing to apologize for. You survived trauma and protected yourself the only way you knew how. There's no shame in that. But I hurt you. We hurt each other. Now we get to decide if we keep hurting, or if we heal. Together." Elara takes a shaky breath. She thinks of her sister, of the way Nessa's light had dimmed under Marcus's control. But she also thinks of Kieran's memories, his mother's tragedy, his centuries of hunting maid abusers, his fierce determination to be different. And she thinks of the way the bond feels. Not like chains. Like partnership. Like having someone always at her back. She climbs out of bed and pads barefoot through the royal chambers, following the bond's pull toward Kieran's study. The guards at the door step aside without question. He's standing at the window, looking out at the pack lands. His back is to her, but she can see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands are clenched on the windowsill. "I don't want the ritual," she says. Kieran spins, his eyes wide with hope and disbelief. "Elara. I want to keep the bond. I want," her voice cracks. "I want to try. If you still want me after everything I put you through." He crosses the room in 3 strides and pulls her into his arms. "If I still want you?" "Elara, I would wait another 3 centuries if that's what you needed." She tilts her head up and kisses him. Unlike the desperate kisses in the garden, this one is soft. A promise. A beginning. When they finally break apart, Kieran rests his forehead against hers. "I have one condition," he says quietly. Elara tenses. "What?" "Every year on the anniversary of our bonding, I give you the choice. If you want out, if you're unhappy, if I've somehow failed you, I'll let you go. No ritual, no pain. I'll simply release you through the bond and step down from the throne so you can be free. That's not, you can't keep offering to give up your crown for me. Watch me." His smile is fierce. "You're more important than any throne, Elara. More important than anything. So that's my condition. Every year, you choose. Every year, I prove I'm worth choosing." She should argue. Should tell him he's being ridiculous. Instead, she finds herself smiling through fresh tears. "Deal," she whispers. "But you should know, I'm choosing you now. And I'm choosing you tomorrow. And I'm going to keep choosing you until you get tired of me. Then we'll be together forever. Kieran kisses her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Because I'll never tire of you, little liar. Not a liar anymore. No. His smile turns predatory. Now you're a Luna. My Luna. Which means you get to help me hunt down the rest of Thomas's conspirators. There are more. Always. He guides her toward his desk, where maps and reports are spread out. Thomas was working with at least a dozen others. We've caught some, but the leaders are still out there. I could use someone with sharp ears and sharper instincts on my investigation team. Elara studies the maps, her mind already working. I heard Thomas mention someone called the Collector. He seemed afraid of them. Kieran's expression darkens. Then we have a new lead. Ready to go hunting, my Luna? She looks at the maps, at the evidence of conspiracy spreading through the pack. She thinks of all the wolves like her sister, vulnerable to alphas who abuse their power. She thinks of the chance to actually change things instead of just surviving. And she thinks of Kieran beside her, offering partnership instead of domination, choice instead of control. Ready, she says. And means it. Together, they begin to plan. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. The first sign something is wrong comes 2 weeks after Elara accepts the bond. She's in the war room with Kieran, spreading out reports of Thomas's remaining conspirators, when the world tilts sideways. Her vision blurs, and suddenly she's on her knees, bile rising in her throat. Elara. Kieran is beside her instantly, his hands steadying her. What's wrong? I'm fine. She pushes herself upright, ignoring the way her hands shake. Just dizzy. I probably skipped too many meals. His eyes narrow, but he doesn't argue. Just pulls her against his chest and sends a pulse of warmth through the bond, soothing, questioning. The bond. It's always there now, humming between them. Sometimes it's comforting, like having a piece of Kieran with her even when they're apart. Other times it feels like an open wound, raw and aching. She hasn't told him about the ache. You need to eat, Kieran says firmly. And rest. We can finish this later. I'm not some fragile. No, you're my stubborn mate who's been working 16-hour days and surviving on coffee and determination. He cups her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. Please. For me. Rest. The for me does it. She nods, and he guides her to their chambers now, though she still keeps some of her things in the seamstress quarters. Old habits. But when she lies down, sleep won't come. The ache in her chest has spread to her limbs, a bone-deep exhaustion that feels wrong. Unnatural. Through the bond, she feels Kieran's concerns spike. He's in a council meeting 3 floors down, but his attention is focused on her. I'm fine, she sends. Just tired. You're lying. No accusation in the words. Just certainty. I'm calling Elena. That's not necessary. But he's already gone, and 10 minutes later Elena sweeps into the room with her medical bag. The Alpha King says you collapsed, she says without preamble. How long have you been feeling ill? I didn't collapse. I got dizzy. Elara sits up, ignoring the way the room spins. It's nothing. Elena's hand is cool on her forehead. You're burning up. When did this start? A few days ago. Maybe a week. At Elena's sharp look, she amends, 2 weeks. But it comes and goes. I'm fine most of the time. Elena pulls out a vial of something that glows faintly silver. Drink this. It'll help me see what's happening with your wolf. Elara obeys, and the liquid tastes like moonlight and winter. Within seconds, her skin begins to glow, a soft luminescence that traces her veins. Elena studies the pattern, her expression growing grimmer by the second. What? Elara demands. What is it? The bond. Elena sits back, her face pale. It's incomplete. When you saved Kieran's life, you formed a partial bond, strong enough to heal him, but not strong enough to be stable. I don't understand. A mate bond needs to be fully sealed to sustain both parties. Right now, yours is like a bridge with the middle section missing. Your life force is flowing into Kieran through the bond, but nothing is flowing back. You're essentially feeding him your soul piece by piece. The room goes very cold. How long? At this rate? A month. Maybe 6 weeks if you're strong. Elena's hand covers hers. You need to complete the bond, Elara. Accept his full claiming. It's the only way to survive. No. The word is automatic. I'm not ready. He promised I could choose. And you'll die for your choice. Elena's voice is hard. Is your freedom really worth your life? Yes. The answer rises automatically from the scarred part of her that still remembers her sister's screams. But looking at Elena's face, at the genuine fear there, Elara isn't sure anymore. Does Kieran know? She asks quietly. Not yet. But he will. I have to tell him, it's my duty as pack physician. Give me a day. Let me figure out how to explain. Elara's laugh is bitter. Let me figure out if I'm brave enough to live. Elena studies her for a long moment, then nods. One day. Then I'm telling him whether you're ready or not. Elara spends that evening watching Kieran work. He's in his study, reviewing the new pack laws he's been drafting. Laws that explicitly forbid alphas from using the mate bond to compel their partners. Laws that establish sanctuaries for abused mates, with protections that even an alpha can't override. Laws that make mate abuse punishable by execution, no exceptions. He's doing this for her. Remaking pack law to ease her fears, to prove he's different. And she's dying because she's too afraid to trust him. You're staring, Kieran says without looking up from his papers. You're worth staring at. The words come easier now, after 2 weeks of trying. Of learning to be his partner instead of his shadow. He sets down his pen and turns to face her. What's wrong? And don't say nothing. I can feel your anxiety through the bond. She should tell him. Should explain about the incomplete bond, about Elena's warning, about the choice she needs to make. Instead, she says, tell me about the tribunal system. His eyebrows rise. That's random. Humor me. Kieran leans back in his chair, studying her. Tribunals are ancient, older than the current pack structure. Any alpha can call for one if they believe they've been wronged by the crown. A council of neutral alphas judges the case, and even I have to abide by their ruling. Has anyone ever won against you? Twice. Both times they were right, I'd overstepped my authority. His smile is wry. Turns out even alpha kings can make mistakes. What happens if someone lies at a tribunal? If they're caught, execution. The tribunal is sacred. Why all the questions? Elara opens her mouth to explain, but a knock interrupts them. One of the guards enters, his face carefully neutral. Your Majesty. Alpha Marcus Blackwater is here, requesting an audience. The air in the room goes cold. Kieran is on his feet instantly, his wolf rising beneath his skin. Marcus is dead, he says flatly. I executed him 2 years ago. Not Marcus Sr., Your Majesty. Marcus Jr. The former Alpha's son. The guard's eyes flick to Elara. He's petitioning for justice regarding his brother's death. Understanding crashes over her. Thomas, the beta who'd tried to assassinate Kieran, must have been Marcus's brother. Different last names because Thomas took his mother's name, but the same poisonous bloodline. He can petition all he wants, Kieran says coldly. His brother was a traitor who tried to murder his Alpha King. The execution was lawful. He's demanding a tribunal, Your Majesty. He has the signatures of 3 neutral alphas supporting his petition. Kieran's hands clench on his desk. Fine. Schedule it for tomorrow. And make sure security is doubled. I don't trust anyone from that family. The guard bows and leaves. In the sudden silence, Kieran turns to Elara. This is about you, he says quietly. He knows you're here. Knows we're bonded. He's going to try to use you against me somehow. How? I have nothing to do with Thomas's execution. You have everything to do with it. You're why I survived the assassination attempt. You're why Thomas's conspiracy failed. His jaw tightens. And if Marcus is anything like his father, he's going to exploit every weakness he can find. Elara's hand drifts to her chest, where the incomplete bond aches like a bruise. Then we'll face him together. Kieran crosses to her and pulls her into his arms. Through the bond, she feels his fear, not for himself, but for her. He's terrified of what Marcus might do, what old wounds he might reopen. I won't let him hurt you, he murmurs into her hair. I swear it. She wants to believe him. Wants to trust that he can protect her from the past that's literally walking back into her life. But as she closes her eyes and breathes in his scent, all she can think is, I should have told him about the bond. About dying. About everything. Now it might be too late. Marcus Blackwater Jr. looks exactly like his father, same cold eyes, same cruel mouth, same aura of barely restrained violence. He walks into the tribunal chamber like he owns it, 3 neutral alphas flanking him. Elara sits beside Kieran in the gallery, trying to keep her face neutral. But the moment Marcus's eyes land on her, she sees recognition. And satisfaction. Your Majesty, Marcus says, his voice dripping false respect. Thank you for granting this tribunal. I come seeking justice for my brother, Thomas Blackwater, who was executed without proper trial. Your brother was caught in the act of assassination, Kieran replies, his voice hard as stone. He was given a traitor's death, which is more mercy than he deserved. So you say. But where is the proof? Where are the witnesses who can confirm Thomas's guilt beyond your word? I am the Alpha King. My word is law. Even kings can be wrong. Marcus's smile is thin. Especially when influenced by manipulative mates who have their own agendas. Kieran's wolf surges beneath his skin. Careful, Blackwater. That's your future Luna you're insulting. Is she? Marcus turns his attention fully to Elara. Because I remember a different female from the Blackwater pack. A scared little Omega named Elara who fled in the night after her sister's rightful punishment. Who was promised to me by her Alpha as recompense for her sister's crimes. Elara's blood turns to ice. That's a lie, she says, her voice shaking. I was never promised to you. Your father never. My father claimed you under the inheritance law when your sister died. You were hers by blood, and when she was executed for insubordination, you became pack property. Marcus pulls out a rolled parchment. I have the documentation right here. Signed by my father and witnessed by the pack elders. Kieran is on his feet, power radiating from him in waves. The inheritance law was abolished 50 years ago. It has no legal standing. In your territory, perhaps. But in Blackwater, we honor the old ways. Marcus's smile widens. And according to ancient pack law, if a female is claimed by one alpha before meeting her true mate, that first claim takes precedence. Which means Elara's bond with you is invalid. The chamber erupts in whispers. The 3 neutral alphas lean together, conferring in low voices. Elara can't breathe. Can't think. She remembers the days after Nessa's death, drugged, grieving, barely conscious. She remembers Marcus Sr.'s hands on her, his voice promising he'd take care of her now that her sister was gone. She doesn't remember biting him. Doesn't remember any claiming ceremony. But she was unconscious for hours at a time. What if he'd done it while she slept? This is absurd, Kieran snarls. Even if your father made such a claim, which I doubt, Elara never accepted it. A bond requires consent. Does it? Marcus gestures, and one of his men steps forward with a small box. I have proof of our bond. Physical evidence that Elara accepted my father's claim before fleeing like a coward. He opens the box, and inside is a leather cuff, the kind mates sometimes exchange as symbols of their bond. Carved into the leather is Elara's name in neat script. I also have this. Marcus pulls down his collar, revealing a scarred bite mark on his shoulder. The mark of a claiming bite. From our bonding ceremony 4 years ago. Elara's teeth. Elara's acceptance. The chamber goes silent. Elara stares at the scar, her mind racing. She knows she never bit Marcus. She'd never been close enough to him to bite him. But the scar is real, and old, and positioned exactly where a claiming bite should be. That's not from me, she says, but her voice sounds weak even to her own ears. No? Marcus's expression is triumphant. Then perhaps you'll submit to a blood test. The tribunal can verify whether my scar carries your essence. One of the neutral alphas, an ancient female named Morgana, steps forward. That is acceptable. We will conduct the test immediately. No. Kieran moves between Marcus and Elara. I don't care what some scar says. Elara is my mate. Mine. And no amount of lies or forged evidence will change that. Then you admit you knowingly bonded with another alpha's claimed mate? Marcus's voice rises. That's a violation of pack law, Your Majesty. Grounds for stripping your title. The only thing being stripped here is your head from your shoulders if you don't shut your lying mouth. Enough. Morgana's command cuts through the chamber. This tribunal will proceed with order. We will test the scar. If it carries the female's essence, Marcus's claim has merit. If not, he faces execution for false testimony. She turns to Elara. Do you consent to the test? Elara looks at Kieran, at the fury and fear warring in his eyes. She could refuse. Could claim the test is invasive or unnecessary. But that would only make her look guilty. I consent, she says quietly. Because that scar isn't from me, and I'll prove it. The blood test takes an hour. Elara sits in a private chamber while Elena draws blood, infuses it with herbs that will react to mate bond residue, and prepares the testing ritual. Kieran paces like a caged animal, his wolf barely contained. This is a setup, he mutters for the 10th time. Somehow he faked that scar. Or found someone else's bite and claimed it was yours. Can that be done? Elara asks Elena. Theoretically, yes. If you had access to powerful magic and a willing accomplice. Elena doesn't look up from her work. But proving it would be nearly impossible. So if the test says the scar is mine, then we have a problem. Elena's hands still. Because either you bit him and forgot, or someone with very dark magic wants everyone to believe you did. The testing ritual begins. Morgana and the other neutral alphas gather around Marcus while Elena paints Elara's blood in a complex pattern across his scar. Ancient words are spoken, power raised. The blood begins to glow. If it turns gold, the scar is from Elara's claiming bite. If it turns silver, Marcus is lying. The blood glows brighter. Brighter. And then. Gold. Brilliant, unmistakable gold. The chamber erupts. Kieran roars his denial, power exploding from him in waves that send weaker wolves to their knees. Marcus's smile is victorious. The neutral alphas confer urgently, their expressions grave. Elara just stares at the glowing gold blood and feels her world crumbling. I didn't bite him, she whispers. I swear I didn't. But no one is listening. Morgana raises her hand for silence. The test is conclusive. The scar carries this female's essence, which means a partial bond was formed before she met the Alpha King. She turns to Kieran, her expression sympathetic but firm. According to ancient law, the first claim takes precedence. Your bond with Elara is invalid. She must return to Blackwater Pact to complete her bond with Alpha Marcus, or face execution for bond abandonment. No. Kieran's voice is deadly quiet. That's not happening. Your Majesty, the law. I don't care about the law. He pulls Elara behind him, his body a shield. She's my mate. My Luna. And I will burn this entire kingdom to ash before I let him take her. Marcus laughs. How touching. The mighty Alpha King, willing to destroy everything for a lying Omega. He addresses the tribunal. I formally claim Elara Blackwater as my inherited mate and demand her return to my custody within 3 days. If the Alpha King refuses, he forfeits his throne for violating sacred pact law. The neutral Alphas nod. It's done. The tribunal has ruled. Kieran doesn't move, doesn't speak. Through the bond, Elara feels his rage, his desperation, his absolute refusal to let her go. She also feels something else. A flutter. A pulse. A second heartbeat where there should only be one. Elena, she gasps. Something's wrong. The physician is beside her instantly. What kind of wrong? I feel, Elara presses her hand to her stomach. Something's happening. The bond. Her vision blurs. The world tilts. And this time when she falls, she doesn't get back up. Elara wakes to voices arguing above her. Can't be possible. The bond isn't complete. Pregnancy requires a full bond. Well, clearly something is possible, because she's pregnant. 6 weeks, maybe 7. But the partial bond is killing her. I told you she had a month at most. Now she's supporting 2 lives through an incomplete bond. She has days. A week if we're lucky. Elara forces her eyes open. She's back in her chambers, Elena and Kieran standing over her. Kieran looks like he's aged 10 years, his face haggard and pale. Pregnant, Elara whispers. The word feels foreign. Impossible. It shouldn't have happened, Elena says quietly. But sometimes bonds create life even before they're complete. Especially when there's strong emotion involved, and you two have been drowning in emotion since the moment you met. Kieran's hand finds hers, gripping tight. We'll figure this out. The baby doesn't change anything. You're still my mate, and I'm not letting Marcus take you. The tribunal ruled. Fuck the tribunal. His voice breaks. Elara, you're dying. The incomplete bond is killing you, and now there's a baby, our baby, and I don't know how to save you without breaking my promise. Understanding floods through her. You want to complete the bond. I want you to live. He drops to his knees beside the bed. I want our child to live. I want, his hands shake. I promised I'd never force you. Promised I'd let you choose. But how can I honor that promise while watching you die? Through the bond, she feels his anguish. He's trapped between keeping his word and saving her life. Between respecting her autonomy and losing her forever. There has to be another way, Elara says. Marcus's claim, we can prove it's false. That scar is verified by neutral alphas and blood magic. Even if we proved it was faked, the process would take months. You don't have months. Elena's voice is gentle but firm. You have one choice, Elara. Accept the full claiming and let the bond stabilize, or die. There is no third option. What about the baby? The question tears out of her. If I die, the baby dies with you. Mate bond pregnancies can't survive without the mother. Elara's hand drifts to her stomach. There's a life inside her. Hers and Kieran's. Conceived in love and terror and the desperate hope that they could make this work. And she's killing it. Killing them both. Because she's too afraid to trust. I need to think, she whispers. Please. Just, give me time. You don't have time, Elena starts. One day. Kieran's voice is hoarse. Give her one day. If she hasn't decided by tomorrow night, then I'll. He can't finish. Can't say the words. I'll force the bond and break my promise. Elena looks like she wants to argue, but finally nods. One day. But if she deteriorates any further, I'm completing the bond myself, with or without consent. I won't watch you both die for pride. She leaves, and Elara and Kieran are alone with the impossible choice between them. I'm sorry, Elara says, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. I thought I was strong enough. Thought I could learn to trust you. But I'm still that scared girl who watched her sister die, and I don't know how to stop being her. Kieran climbs into the bed beside her, careful not to jostle her. You're the strongest person I've ever met. You survived trauma that would have destroyed lesser wolves. You built a new life from nothing. You exposed yourself to save me even when it cost you everything. His hand covers hers on her stomach. You're not weak, Elara. You're human. And humans are allowed to be afraid. But my fear is killing our baby. No. An incomplete bond is killing you both. There's a difference. She turns to face him, studying the lines around his eyes, the silver creeping into his dark hair. 200 years old, and he's never looked more mortal than he does in this moment. What if I complete the bond and regret it, she whispers. What if in 10 years, in 50 years, I wake up and realize I'm trapped? Then you tell me. And I let you go. His thumb strokes her cheek. Every year on our bonding anniversary, I give you the choice. Remember? That promise stands, complete bond or not. But if the bond is complete, breaking it could kill us both. Then I die. If you need to be free that badly, if I've failed you that completely, then I deserve to die. That's not, you can't just, Elara's breath hitches. You're supposed to argue with me. Tell me I'm being ridiculous. Tell me to stop being afraid and trust you. I could. Kieran's smile is sad. But that wouldn't be respecting your choice, would it? I can't demand your trust, Elara. I can only earn it. And if I haven't earned it yet, then I need to try harder. She looks at him, really looks at him. At the male who's spent 3 years courting her consent, who's remaking pack law to ease her fears, who's offering to die rather than force her hand. Who's loved her through rejection and lies and desperate survival. Who put a baby in her belly even through an incomplete bond, because their connection was that strong. I'm terrified, she admits. I know. I don't know if I can do this. I know. But I want to try. For you. For our baby. For, her voice breaks. For me. Because I'm tired of letting Marcus's ghost control my life. Kieran goes very still. What are you saying? I'm saying complete the bond. The words come out in a rush. Tonight. Before I lose my nerve. Before Marcus comes to collect me. Before. He kisses her, cutting off the rest of her words. It's fierce and desperate and tastes of salt from both their tears. Are you sure? He asks against her lips. Because once it's done. I'm sure. She pulls back enough to meet his eyes. I choose you, Kieran. I choose us. I choose life. Even if it terrifies me. His eyes flare gold. Then I'm going to make you a promise. Right here, right now. I will spend every day of our lives proving I'm worthy of this choice. I will never use the bond to control you. I will never make you regret trusting me. And if I ever, make you feel trapped, you tell me. And I fix it or I let you go. Deal? Deal. She tilts her head, exposing her neck. Now claim me properly before I change my mind. Kieran's laugh is shaky with relief and love. His hand cradles the back of her neck, gentle despite the power coiled beneath his skin. I love you, he whispers. My brave, stubborn, magnificent mate. Then his teeth sink into her neck, and the partial bond shatters and rebuilds in the same instant. Complete. Permanent. Unbreakable. Elara gasps as Kieran's soul floods into hers, not invasive but welcoming, not controlling but supporting. She feels his love like a physical thing, warm and solid and utterly reliable. She feels his wolf recognizing hers, celebrating the completion of what should have happened 3 years ago. And underneath it all, she feels the baby. Their child, glowing like a tiny star in her womb, strengthening with each second as the complete bond feeds it life. When Kieran's teeth release her neck, the claiming mark burns silver, the mark of a true mate bond, witnessed by the moon goddess herself. How do you feel? He asks, his voice rough with emotion. Elara takes inventory. The bone-deep exhaustion is gone. The ache in her chest has transformed into something warm and right. She feels strong. Whole. Complete. I feel, she says slowly, like I can breathe for the first time in 4 years. Kieran pulls her close, and they lie together in the growing darkness, the bond humming contentedly between them. Outside, somewhere in the palace, Marcus Blackwater is plotting. The tribunal ruling still stands. In 3 days, Elara is supposed to return to Blackwater Pack or Kieran forfeits his throne. But for now, in this moment, none of that matters. Because Elara has chosen life. Chosen trust. Chosen love. And whatever comes next, they'll face it together. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. Elara wakes before dawn, Kieran's arm heavy across her waist, the complete bond thrumming contentedly between them. The claiming mark on her neck still tingles, a silver crescent moon that pulses with warmth whenever Kieran is near. She has 2 days before Marcus comes to collect her. 2 days to find proof that his claim is false. 2 days to save Kieran's throne and her freedom. Through the bond, she feels Kieran stirring. His hand splays protectively over her stomach, where their babies, she corrects herself, remembering the twin heartbeats Elena detected last night. Sleep peacefully. You're planning something, he murmurs against her neck. I can feel your determination through the bond. I'm planning to survive. There's a difference. Elara. Marcus's claim is false. We both know it. She turns to face him. That scar might carry my essence, but I never bit him. Which means someone put my essence there through magic. Dark magic. Even if we prove that, it could take weeks to trace the magic user. You heard Morgana, we have 3 days before I have to choose between giving you up or abdicating. Then we don't wait for proof to come to us. Elara sits up, her mind racing. We force Marcus to reveal himself. Make him show his hand. Kieran props himself up on one elbow, studying her. What are you thinking? Ancient Pack law allows for trial by combat when a mate claim is disputed, right? Yes, but, understanding dawns in his eyes, followed immediately by horror. Absolutely not. You're pregnant and still recovering from a partial bond. You can't fight Marcus. He'd kill you. Not if his wolf recognizes me as his true mate. True mates can't harm each other, their wolves won't allow it. If Marcus really claimed me 4 years ago, his wolf should hesitate. Should refuse to attack. And if his claim is false? Then his wolf will attack freely. Which proves he's lying. Elara's smile is sharp. Either way, we get our answer. And the tribunal has to honor trial by combat, it's older than any of their laws. You're not doing this. Kieran's voice carries the weight of command. I forbid it. Elara feels the command slide off her like water. The complete bond means she can resist his alpha authority if she chooses, one of the many protections built into true mate bonds. You don't get to forbid me anything, she says quietly. That was the deal. Equals, remember? He flinches like she struck him. I'm trying to protect you. I know. But I need to do this. She cups his face, forcing him to meet her eyes. For 3 years I hid. For 3 years I let fear control every decision. I'm done hiding, Kieran. I'm done being the victim in my own story. You're pregnant with twins. This is insane. This is necessary. She kisses him softly. Trust me. The way I'm learning to trust you. Through the bond, she feels his war with himself, the alpha who wants to lock her away and keep her safe warring with the mate who promised to respect her choices. Finally, painfully, he nods. On one condition, he says. You train. Today and tomorrow. With my best warriors. If you're going to do this suicidal thing, you're going to do it prepared. Deal. She starts to rise, but he pulls her back down. One more thing. His hand covers her stomach. If you die, I'm going to be really angry with you. Despite everything, Elara laughs. Noted. The training courtyard is empty when Elara arrives, the pre-dawn light just beginning to paint the sky. She's dressed in fighting leathers borrowed from the armory, her hair braided back, her heart hammering against her ribs. She's expecting Kieran's warriors. Instead, she finds a dozen females waiting for her. At their head stands a woman Elara recognizes from council meetings, Commander Lyssa, the only female in Kieran's inner circle. She's built like a warrior, all muscle and scars, with eyes that have seen too many battles. Your Majesty, Lyssa says, bowing slightly. The Alpha King said you needed training. We volunteered. I'm not queen yet, Elara protests. You completed the bond with our Alpha King. You're carrying his heirs. You're queen in everything but name. Lyssa's smile is fierce. And we've been waiting 3 years for you to stop hiding and join us. Elara looks at the assembled females, warriors, every one of them. Strong and scarred and alive. Nothing like the broken, submissive mates she'd seen in Blackwater Pack. I don't know how to fight, she admits. Not really. I shifted once in desperation, killed one distracted beta, and nearly died. I'm not a warrior. Yet, one of the other females says. But you challenged an alpha to ritual combat. That takes either courage or stupidity, and we're betting on courage. I need to be able to hold my own for maybe 5 minutes. Long enough to prove Marcus's wolf doesn't recognize me as his mate. Lyssa's expression darkens. You're planning to let him hurt you. To prove a point. I'm planning to survive. Whatever that takes. Then we have 2 days to teach you how. Lyssa tosses her a practice sword. Let's start with the basics, how not to die in the first 30 seconds. The training is brutal. Elara learns to dodge, to roll, to use her smaller size as an advantage. She learns where to strike to disable without killing, throat, knees, eyes. She learns to fight dirty, to survive rather than win. By midday, she's bruised and exhausted. By evening, she's found a rhythm. By the time the moon rises, she's actually managing to land hits on Lyssa, who grins with approval. You're a quick learner, Lyssa says, helping her up from yet another fall. And you fight like someone with everything to lose. That's good. That's what keeps you alive. I learned from the best. Elara wipes blood from her split lip. My sister used to say, when you're smaller, be meaner. Smart sister. Dead sister. The words taste like ash. Killed by the alpha who's now claiming me as his inherited mate. The training yard goes silent. The females exchange glances, and Elara sees something shift in their expressions, from respect to solidarity. Then we make sure you destroy him, Lyssa says quietly. Not just survive. Destroy. They train through the night. When Elara finally drags herself back to her chambers, she finds Kieran waiting, his face drawn with worry. "You're hurt," he says, pulling her into his arms. "I'm training." She winces as he touches a particularly nasty bruise on her ribs. "Your warriors are thorough. They're trying to keep you alive." He guides her to the bed, his hands gentle as he inspects her injuries. "Elena left healing salve. And explicit instructions that you're supposed to rest." "I'll rest when Marcus is dead." "Elara. I mean it." She catches his hands, holding tight. "I know you're afraid. I can feel it through the bond. But I need you to believe in me. Can you do that?" Kieran's eyes search hers, and through the bond she feels his fear, his love, his desperate wish that she'd choose any other path. But also his respect for her strength, his pride in her courage. "I believe in you," he says finally. "I just wish you weren't so determined to give me a heart attack." "Where's the fun in that?" She tries to smile, but it turns into a yawn. He pulls her against his chest, his hands stroking her hair. "Sleep. Tomorrow you train more. And the day after." He doesn't finish. The day after, she fights for her life. The tribunal reconvenes at noon in the Great Hall, every seat filled with pack members and visiting alphas. News of Elara's challenge has spread through the supernatural community like wildfire. The deaf seamstress who wasn't deaf, the mate who challenged her supposed alpha's claim through ritual combat. It's the kind of scandal that draws crowds. Elara stands in the challenger's circle, wearing simple fighting leathers, her hair loose around her shoulders. The claiming mark on her neck is visible, Kieran's silver crescent moon, proof of their completed bond. Across from her, Marcus Blackwater smirks. He's dressed for war, his body already shifting toward his wolf form in anticipation. "Last chance to submit, little Omega," he calls out. "Come willingly to Blackwater, and I'll make your death quick when you inevitably displease me." "I'd rather die fighting," Elara replies, her voice carrying across the hall. Clear. Strong. No longer hiding. Morgana steps forward, her ancient face grave. This tribunal recognizes the challenger's right to trial by combat. The terms are simple: if Alpha Marcus's wolf recognizes Elara as his claimed mate, it will be unable to harm her. If no such recognition occurs, the claim is proven false. She looks at Elara. "Do you understand that Marcus is under no obligation to hold back? That he can kill you if his wolf permits?" "I understand." "And you still wish to proceed?" "I do." Kieran stands at the edge of the circle, his face a mask of control. But through the bond, Elara feels his terror, his rage, his absolute faith in her. His presence is an anchor, steadying her racing heart. Morgana raises her hand. "Then let the combat begin." Marcus shifts immediately, his brown wolf larger than Elara remembered. Easily 3 times her size, built for power and brutality. He circles her slowly, yellow eyes gleaming with anticipation. Elara doesn't shift. Not yet. She needs to conserve her energy, needs to see if his wolf hesitates at all before committing to her plan. Marcus lunges. He doesn't hesitate. Doesn't pause. His teeth go straight for her throat, a killing strike. Elara drops and rolls, Lissa's training kicking in. She comes up 10 feet away, her heart hammering. No recognition. No hesitation. Proof that his claim is false. But proving it and surviving it are 2 different things. Marcus attacks again, and this time his claws catch her shoulder, tearing through leather and skin. Blood sprays across the stone floor. The crowd gasps. Kieran's roar of fury shakes the rafters, but he can't interfere, ritual combat is sacred. Elara shifts, her russet wolf smaller but faster. She ducks under Marcus's next strike and goes for his legs, teeth sinking into muscle. He howls and kicks her away, sending her tumbling across the floor. "Get up," she tells herself. "Get up or die." She staggers to her feet, vision blurring. She can taste blood. Feel her ribs grinding where Marcus's kick cracked them. The babies in her womb flutter with distress, and terror floods through her. I'm going to lose them. I'm going to lose everything. Then, through the roaring in her ears, she hears it. A voice. A familiar voice. One she thought she'd never hear again. Elara. His left side. The old wound. The crowd erupts in chaos. Elara spins toward the voice, her wolf's vision locking on a figure pushing through the spectators. Her sister. Nessa. Alive. Time seems to stop. Elara stares at the ghost who isn't a ghost, at the sister she watched die 4 years ago. Nessa's face is older, scarred, but unmistakably alive. The left side. Nessa shouts again. Where I bit him when he tried to claim you. Understanding crashes over Elara like a wave. The scar on Marcus Sr.'s shoulder. The one that carried her essence. It wasn't from claiming her. It was from Nessa defending her. Marcus Jr., she reminds herself, realizes his mistake too late. He lunges for Nessa, trying to silence her, but Kieran's warriors are already moving. They haul Marcus's wolf back, silver chains materializing to bind him. Morgana's voice cuts through the chaos, silence. The hall goes quiet. Morgana turns to Nessa, her ancient eyes sharp. Explain yourself. Quickly. Nessa steps into the challenger's circle, and Elara sees it now. The scars on her sister's neck, her arms, her face. Marks of torture and survival. My name is Nessa Blackwater. 4 years ago, Marcus Sr. tried to claim my sister as inherited property when he killed me for refusing his abuse. Nessa's voice shakes but holds strong. I fought him. Bit him while defending Elara. Then I faked my death, had a witch friend make it look real, and fled. I've been in hiding ever since. Why come forward now? Morgana demands. Because I heard about the tribunal. Heard that Marcus Jr. was using his father's lie to claim my sister. Nessa's eyes find Elara's. I couldn't let him take you. Not after everything we survived. The tribunal erupts. The neutral alphas confer urgently. Marcus, still in wolf form, still bound, snarls his denial, but no one is listening. Morgana raises her hand for silence again. The scar on Marcus Sr.'s shoulder carried your essence, she asks Nessa. Yes. I bit him deep when he tried to force himself on Elara while she was drugged. He bled for days. And you can prove you're Elara's sister? Blood test. Same as you did with the scar. Nessa extends her hand. Test us both. You'll see we're siblings. Elena performs the test quickly, her hands steady despite the tension. When she's done, she turns to the tribunal with grim satisfaction. They share bloodline. Same parents. They're sisters. Morgana looks at Marcus, disgust clear on her face. You knowingly used false evidence in a sacred tribunal. You claimed another alpha's mate through lies and dark magic. And you attempted to continue your father's legacy of mate abuse. Her voice hardens. The sentence is death. Immediate execution. Marcus shifts back to human, his face twisted with rage. You can't. I'm an alpha. I have rights. You had rights, Kieran says, stepping into the circle. His voice is cold as winter. You forfeited them when you lied under oath and threatened my mate. His eyes flash gold. And as Alpha King, I claim the right to carry out your execution personally. No one argues. Marcus's crimes are too severe, his lies too blatant. The execution is swift. Kieran's wolf is larger, faster, and infinitely more powerful. Marcus dies the way his father did, with his throat torn out, his blood staining the tribunal floor. When it's done, Kieran shifts back and crosses to Elara, who's still in her wolf form, staring at her sister with disbelief. Shift, he says gently. Let Elena tend your wounds. Elara shifts, and the moment she's human again, she's running. Running toward Nessa, tears streaming down her face. They collide in the middle of the circle, holding each other like they're afraid to let go. "You're alive," Elara sobs. "You're alive. I thought, I saw. I know." Nessa's voice breaks. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I let you think I was dead. But Marcus Sr. would have used me as bait to draw you back. I had to disappear completely. Why didn't you send word? Why didn't you?" "Because I was scared. Because I was broken. Because," Nessa pulls back, cupping Elara's face. "Because I needed to heal before I could protect you. And by the time I was strong enough, you'd found your mate. Found safety. I thought you were better off without me. I'm never better off without you." Elara pulls her sister close again. "Never." They stand there, two survivors holding each other in the aftermath of combat, while the tribunal watches in silence. Finally, Morgana clears her throat. The trial by combat has concluded. Marcus Blackwater's claim is proven false. The Alpha King's bond with Elara is confirmed as legitimate and true. She bows slightly to Kieran. "Your throne is secure, Your Majesty." Kieran nods, but his attention is on Elara. On the blood staining her leathers, the way she's favoring her left side, the protective curve of her hand over her stomach. "Elena," he calls out. "My mate is injured." "I'm fine," Elara protests, but her voice wavers. The adrenaline is fading, leaving behind pain and exhaustion. Elena appears at her side, hands already glowing with healing magic. "You have 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, and extensive bruising. You're not fine, you're lucky to be alive." Her magic sinks into Elara's wounds, and the relief is immediate. The babies are unharmed, though. Resilient little things. "Babies?" Nessa's eyes go wide. "You're pregnant? With twins? Surprise?" Elara manages a weak smile. "It's been a complicated few weeks." "Clearly." Nessa laughs, and it's the most beautiful sound Elara has ever heard. Her sister's laugh, the one she thought she'd never hear again. Kieran helps Elara to her feet, his arms supporting her weight. "Can you walk?" "I can fight an alpha, I can walk." "You can barely stand," he counters, but there's fierce pride in his voice. Through the bond, she feels his awe, his love, his absolute certainty that he has the strongest mate in existence. As they leave the tribunal hall, pack members part before them. Some bow. Some reach out to touch Elara in respect. The deaf seamstress who found her voice. The Omega who challenged an Alpha and won. The future queen who stopped hiding and stepped into her power. 3 days later, Elara stands in Kieran's private study, looking at the complete bond mark on her neck in a mirror. It's healed now, the silver crescent moon gleaming like moonlight on water. She remembers being terrified of this mark. Of what it represented. Of the control it could give Kieran over her. But the bond doesn't feel like chains. It feels like wings. "You're thinking too loud," Kieran says from his desk, where he's reviewing new legislation. "I can feel your emotions through the bond." "Good emotions or bad emotions?" "Contemplative emotions." He sets down his pen and crosses to her, his hands settling on her shoulders. "What's going on in that brilliant mind?" Elara turns to face him. "I was wrong. About the bond. About you. About everything. Elara. Let me finish." She takes his hands. "I spent 3 years terrified that completing the bond would trap me. That I'd lose myself the way Nessa lost herself to Marcus Sr. But the bond, our bond, it's not chains. It's choice. Every day I choose you, and every day you choose me back. That's not imprisonment. That's partnership." Kieran's eyes shine with unshed tears. "You have no idea how long I've waited to hear you say that. 200 years, according to your memories." She smiles. Sorry for making you wait 3 more. Worth it. He pulls her close, careful of her still healing ribs. Every second of waiting was worth it for this moment. They stand together in the quiet study, the bond humming contentedly between them. Outside, the pack is preparing for tomorrow's coronation, Elera's official coronation as queen. She's not hiding anymore. 6 months later. The coronation hall is packed with representatives from every pack in the kingdom. Alphas, betas, omegas, all gathered to witness the crowning of their new queen. Elera stands at the altar, wearing a gown of midnight blue embroidered with silver wolves. Her claiming mark is visible, proudly displayed. Her belly is round with the twins, 5 months along now, healthy and strong. Beside her stands Nessa, restored to health and serving as her queen's guard. Lissa and the other female warriors flank them, a wall of fierce protection. And at her side, holding her hand, stands Kiran. Her mate. Her partner. Her equal. Morgana performs the ceremony, placing a silver crown on Elera's head. Do you swear to serve this pack with honor, wisdom, and strength? I do. Do you swear to protect the vulnerable, punish the wicked, and uphold justice for all wolves, regardless of rank? I do. Then by the power vested in me by the moon goddess herself, I crown you Queen Elera, Luna of the royal pack, protector of all mate bonds, defender of the voiceless. The hall erupts in howls of celebration. Elera's wolf rises to join them, her voice strong and clear, no longer hiding, no longer silent. When the ceremony concludes, Kiran steps forward. The queen has her first royal decree. All wolves will listen. Elera takes a breath, letting her voice carry across the assembled crowd. The voice she hid for 3 years. The voice that once seemed like a weakness. Now her greatest weapon. From this day forward, she says, her words ringing with authority, all mate bonds must be accepted verbally. No omega, beta, or alpha will be bonded without explicit, witnessed consent. Any alpha who uses the mate bond to compel, control, or harm their partner will forfeit their pack and their wolf. There will be sanctuaries established in every territory where abused mates can seek refuge without fear of retaliation. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. Some approving, some shocked. Furthermore, Elera continues, a council of mates, separate from the Alpha Council, will be formed to investigate claims of abuse and recommend punishment. Because mates should not be property. They should be partners. And any wolf who disagrees can take it up with me personally. The murmurs become cheers. Particularly from the females in the crowd, whose voices rise in support. Kiran watches his mate command the hall with fierce pride. Through their bond, he sends her a pulse of love and admiration. She sends back, told you I was worth the wait. His answering laugh echoes in her mind, every second. The celebration lasts long into the night. But in the shadows beyond the palace walls, an ancient wolf watches through golden eyes. His name is Castor, and he's older than the current kingdom. Older than Kiran. Older than the laws that now protect weaker wolves. He remembers when alphas ruled absolutely. When mates were claimed by force. When strength was the only law that mattered. This new queen, with her reforms and her voice and her mate who treats her as an equal, she's changing everything. Destroying centuries of tradition. Weakening the alpha bloodlines with notions of consent and partnership. Castor's lip curls in disgust. He turns away from the palace, melting back into the forest. He has allies. Other wolves who remember the old ways. Who believe strength should reign supreme. They've been planning quietly, waiting for the right moment. That moment is coming. The new king and queen think they've won. Think their reforms will protect the weak and change pack culture forever. They have no idea that the real battle is just beginning. Castor disappears into the darkness, already plotting his rebellion. Behind him, the palace glows with celebration, oblivious to the storm gathering on the horizon. The end. Of Book 1. In the royal chambers, Elera wakes from sleep with a gasp. Kiran is beside her instantly. What's wrong? I don't know. She presses her hand to her chest, where an unfamiliar dread has settled. Something's coming. Something dangerous. Through the bond, Kieran feels it too, the shadow of a future threat. But he pulls his mate close and sends her warmth and reassurance. Whatever comes, he promises, we face it together. Elara nods and settles back against him. But sleep doesn't return easily. Because somewhere in the darkness, an ancient enemy is waking. And their peaceful new beginning is about to be tested in ways they never imagined. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily and also, to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.